Hi everybody, and welcome once again to the Outdoor Station with me, your host, Bob Cartwright. What are we doing this time? Well, this time we are at the big European trade fair in Germany 2014 at Friedrichshafen, outdoor. This is where the trade from all over Europe get together to have a look at forthcoming products, see their suppliers and manufacturers, and basically chew the fat. Now, what we've done with this video is we've tried to look at some of the highlights from the show, various things we think you might find of interest. We recorded 3 audio podcasts to go in conjunction with the show, number 373, 374 and 375, and we'll flag those up as we go through some of the contents because we feel perhaps moving images will give you a little bit more of a flavour of what some of the items actually consist of. So without further ado, let's get stuck into the show and the highlights from Outdoor Friedrichshafen 2014.
Hallo und willkommen bei der Outdoor Show in Friedrichshafen.
.360, the dizzy heights of Friedrichshafen. Here we go, 14 halls, 2 open areas, a lake, parking, and apparently 32,000 trade visitors all attended. So let's start with Eberhard Gobel. They make trekking umbrellas. And we've interviewed them before. Lovely range of colours. If you like your trekking with an umbrella and in that sort of environment, they've got a great fitting kit, fits any rucksack, and they're just beautiful to look at. A great display there. An interesting one which caught a lot of people's eyes was the Hemiplanet, German-based company. You can get these in the UK, but you have to really hunt for them, I'm afraid. The 2-man wedge starts around €450 and weighs about 3.2 kilos. The larger tents go up to a 10-person one, would you believe? 25 kilograms Maverick. €5,000. Now this one is from Helsport, the Vara Ranger Dome. Comes in 2 different sizes, the 4 to 6 people and the 8 to 10 people. The smaller one about 6k, the larger one about 9.8k, and they both pack down to less than 30 centimeters by 65. Thought they'd be of interest to bushcrafters and small families perhaps who want something a little bit different. We're looking around £900 for the smaller one, £1,200 for the larger one, and I think the inner nest is a separate item around the £250 mark. But don't quote me on that, but certainly looking at some of the paperwork, that gave the indication. And of course the stove is an optional extra as well. Now this is one of the Outdoor Industry Award winners. This is the MSR Windboiler system. Now it's based on the MSR reactor system. It's a smaller version. They've reduced the size of the radiant burner, as you can see there, and combined it with a beautifully designed heat exchanger on the base of the pot, which, as you'll see, packs down neatly into itself, including the mug and of course the stand, and that also includes the gas cylinder as well. The boil time for it is about, for half a litre water, is a very impressive 2.45 minutes. And the whole system means, of course, less waiting and less fuel used. You can't simmer on this type of equipment, of course, it just boils very rapidly, so make sure you've got a pot cosy. Expected to be in the shops in the UK around November time at about £110 mark, and it weighs 480, so just in time for winter and adventure races, so I think that'll be popular with a lot of people. There you go. Thermarest, we're also showing some new items along with this very interesting folding chair, another one they're offering. There's quite a few folding chairs appearing around the show. As you can see, it all clips down into the tripod base, which holds as a hard case, and you just apply the poles and slip on the ripstop Dyneema nylon seat cover, and you've got yourself a very stable chair to be able to sit back and comfortably open the next bottle of wine. Of course, the bottle of wine is an optional extra, not supplied. But he looks very comfortable, doesn't he? Now, I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure who's making it. It's someone from the Swedish group, Swedish Outdoor Group. One of their brands, I suspect. Now, it looks like a Cuban fibre jacket with, I think, gaiters or salopettes. But the text next to it refers to Dyneema, so I'm not too sure whether it's a Dyneema jacket or a Cuban fibre one. However, the price is around €450, February 2015, so maybe you can pull the information off there. I thought this is quite interesting. This is on one of the Chinese stands. Now, the Chinese have a lot of stands showing a lot of Me Too products where they actually manufacture items for other people, should we say, other brands. I just thought it was interesting they had a Cuban fibre tent there, so one of the first times I've seen one. But as you can see, a busy show. Now, this is True Mountain. True Mountain, and the chap in the red t-shirt there is Tim Butcher, is a new British brand, and they're based in Preston. They're actually manufacturing technical clothing in the UK, and Tim is the man behind it all. His story is quite exciting because they actually started the company completely a few months ago, and here they are at the show. So if you want the full story and more thought about to buy British and some of the British clothing and what Tim's trying to do, listen to podcast number 373. And you'll also find on that the interview with McNett. McNett obviously make a lot of adhesives and repair equipment or repair items that we need for our outdoor materials. And I speak to Mark Gray there on how to fix some of the products. And along with there, we're talking about this new one they were launching, which is a Mozzie Net repair kit, which consists of 2 rings and 2 cuttings like that. So you'll be able to keep the little critters out. Finally, on podcast number 373 is speak to Tim Campbell, who is representing Aarn Packs. Now, Aarn is a brand name from New Zealand. They have been in the UK for a while, on and off, but their belief is to share the weight between the back and the front using a fairly unique carrying system. The carrying system carries the weight actually on the hips, and what Tim's doing there is just showing you that the shoulder harness moves within the pack, so therefore the pack doesn't wobble from side to side, and the front support system is supported off the hip belt there. The other thing about this, which is unique, I've never seen before, is it does have an adjustable back system which you can adjust while you're wearing the pack. And Tim's just showing what the variation there, how short it'll go down to, and obviously up to its maximum there. It also has twin sheets, I suppose, supportive sheets in the hip belt. And what this means is the hip belt will actually wrap to the contours of your hip shelf. The other thing about the hip belt is you can actually reduce the width of it, as he's about to show you now, by unclipping the Velcro and moving it further in. Which means people with a smaller frame, children, women, etc., are able to actually have a supportive hip system which we are able to wrap around their hips and pull tight. A lot of products on the market don't allow that flexibility, so that was quite unique. Naturally, at a show like this, the industry likes to promote excellence in product design, and innovation every year is celebrated. This time was no exception. There were 361 products entered for the awards. These were reviewed by an expert panel of 6 judges from different countries. Sometimes Chris Townsend is one of the judges, so that's the sort of pedigree we're talking about. And 35 were nominated to receive awards, with 7 of those given prestigious gold awards. But it attracts a lot of interest as people like to have a look for what's going to happen with the future and where people have brought innovation and design. That we'll talk about that a bit later on. And this is where people go to see the future, and also where they might go to pick up a few ideas about how to improve their own manufacturing. Of course, the big names are there at the show like this, the big names like Berghaus and so on, and you also have the smaller guys, the new guys on the block, the Boreas. They're from California, and they had a great press reception where they presented all their products and the unique feature of their products there, which are the Boreas packs and the A-Light lifestyle sort of equipment, which again achieved great attention. Now this is slacklining. It looks like tightrope walking, but it's slacklining. And it's slightly wider than a tightrope and much springier. And this is the sort of thing these lunatics do on it. And it's here every year. I did interview a guy from Gibbons Slacklines many years ago, and I just wondered whether it'd ever catch off. I've never seen it in the UK, but wherever you go at the outdoor activities like this, you see these guys doing these things. And I have to say that you've got to have some nerves of steel, because you obviously coming down on a bit of concrete or that bit of matting, and you miss, it could be quite embarrassing. But this guy is quite balanced and angelic as he flips up. Anyway, I thought it'd be interesting to see that in a shopping centre one day if you ever do that. Anyway, Vargo, yes, Brian Vargo was there. Fantastic, good to see Brian again, second time here in a few years. And it was good to see some of his new items, one of which was this titanium hip flask with a built-in silicon funnel, making it easier to fill without any faff, and apparently pour out of the bottle, but that doesn't seem to work in my circles. But of course it's also nicer on the lips on a cold day as well, because you've got silicon, not metal, against the lips. But that's available fairly soon in the UK. Now Brian is quite proud of these. These are titanium running spikes. He does a lot of running, does Brian, and obviously the environment and the weather that he runs in covers the ice and snow. And he was really quite proud of these and insists they'll be really good for running shoes. They have to work on a running shoe base because that's the shape of the foot, but as you can see they're very flexible and very simple. Now all this information is on podcast number 374, including the discussion about this, a titanium external frame rucksack. Now you remember external frame designs? This is taking it to a whole new level. That frame weighs 4 ounces. Isn't that ridiculous? And there's the lumbar support there that comes forward. The pack that's on it's 36 litres, and all the information is on podcast number 374. There are a couple of new ideas coming through on the footwear department, one of which is from Vibram, famous of course for their 5-finger shoe. This one is called the Furishuki, which is a concept shoe which wraps round the foot. It's a very clever sole, and what they've done is they injected the material, the rubber, into the fabric as well as the sole to, as you can see this rubberized wing. Basically you tuck your foot into the toe round and heel round and wrap it around you. And it just velcros at the back. And quite a stylish looking relaxation shoe. We're looking around €100 for this next springtime, I believe. And then of course there's 5 fingers next to on her other foot. But yeah, quite different, I thought. And finally on podcast number 374 we speak to Ortleib about their new range of panniers, which they've updated with a nice range of colours there, nothing too garish, very subtle. Doesn't that look lovely? That'd be nice for touring. But they've also introduced an urban commuter range, and they've done 2 things here. They've got a lovely fabric. Doesn't that look smart? Doesn't that look nice? A lovely fabric. So you've got that grey and that sort of off brown, and they've produced a pannier, a briefcase, sort of bags, and right down to a purse, which wouldn't look out of place in the office. And inside here, of course, you've got all the Ortleib protection, the weather protection as well as the padding. It's fully waterproof. And they've also updated the fitting system. So on the back of the bags, you're not going to have anything that projects into your clothing. So it's not going to be awkward or look ungainly. Honestly, it just sits straight on the bike like that and clips straight on there. So I think that's going to be popular with commuters, certainly. Well, Exped. We didn't have a chance to talk to Exped. They were busy most of the time, but it looks like they're introducing a couple of new packs there. The Thunder Range 50 and a 70, presumably a climbing pack. All with the adjustable back system, which is they've introduced with the Lightning pack, which you can see hanging up there. But I did notice when we reviewed the pack when it first came out, they didn't have a front pocket, and I said that was missing. So it looks like this is a retrofit front pocket for Lightnings. I don't have any more information just at the moment, but when I do, I shall certainly let everybody know. Klattamusen, very good friends of ours. We interviewed them several years ago. Such an environmentally friendly brand, and really that's their main strap line. Don't buy it unless you need it. But when you buy it from them, it lasts for a very, very long time. Keen Shoes had this Uneek product, and Uneek was what they were talking about. It consists of 2 cords and a sole. Lots of them are Karami and the patience of a devil, and hey presto, you get 1 shoe. And here's the poor dude from the factory who was brought in to be the centre of attention and make these in front of people as they took pictures and videos, myself included. Do wonder what he was thinking about, listening to all the conversations that were going on around him all day long, that hot stuffy haul, but he progressed gradually, and over the few days we saw him, he made a few shoes in front of us. Certainly unique in style, and I'm sure they'll appeal to the groovy glamping market, but you're looking at a retail price of around 120 euros a pair. But aren't they a beautiful piece of work? And just obviously be careful you don't catch one of the cords, I guess. On the other side of the scale, you've got these super simple ones from Lizard Shoes, an Italian company. I have no ideas what these cost, but you can't get any simpler than a simple sole and a bit of shock cord. It was good enough for the Romans, Brian. It's good enough for me. Good to see another British brand there, Mountain King. Simon and Carolyn King were there, as always, attracting a lot of interest with their Trailblaze poles. But this year they were introducing the carbon fibre version. Now I know Simon's been working on this for some time now, and he's really proud of them, quite rightly too. The latest version of the Trailblaze carbon fibre pole weighs in around 103 to 109 grams, which is less than half the weight of the current model, I believe, and is going to retail for around the £100 mark, which is pretty fair, I think, considering the manufacturing that goes into them. They fold down like that, nice and neatly, and slip into most packs. And then to reassemble them, you just pull the cord, and there's a little knot that slides into the recess, and that holds them steady. And there you have a carbon fibre pole, which was attracting a lot of interest, so fair play to them. Sea2 Summit had an obvious display pointing towards their new range of sleeping mats, which attracted considerable amount of attention for numerous reasons, which I'll come on to. As you can see from these guys lying down, everybody wanted to try it from a comfort point of view. Now, Sea2 Summit are probably best known for their travel accessories, but they do have quite a few lightweight credentials as well, such as shelters and gear. But looking around the stand, you can see they've got the usual sort of travel things, wash towels, bags, packing bags, and that sort of thing. But this is Ryan Seacrest, and he was doing endless back-to-back demos of the mat, bless him, which had a handful of unique features, which I'm about to just touch on now. First of all, that is a one-way valve to put the air in, so you can blow in there. That's the second valve, which is a quick release valve that releases all the air out. And then beneath that, on the underside, you have a second air compartment with exactly the same valve system. So should you ever have a puncture, it will only ever have half a puncture, because the other half of the mat will still stay inflated. The mat's going to be available apparently spring-summertime next year. I understand the retail price is going to be a similar price to its competitors. But again, all the details about this mat is on podcast number 375. So check that out for all the facts and figures and a much more detailed overview than I've just given you. Over on the UCO stand, they had a thing called the Stakelight, which, as you can see, is either a solid white or flashing white light, or RGB, red, green and blue light. Which means, of course, you can find your way back from the pub down the runway of flashing lights towards your tent if you have this staked out with one of these stake lights. But I thought it was quite an interesting novelty. Good to see Hilleberg, the tent maker, with introducing something quite exciting. A lot of people will, obviously, backpackers in particular, remember the Hilleberg Acto, very popular tent of 10 years ago. Well, this that you're looking at the moment is the new version, the Enan. Now, that's the lovely Lisa Nielsen, and she tells me on the podcast number 375 all about the Enan and the features. So that's what she's holding there. So you're looking at a very similar shaped product as the Acto. They've done a lot of modifications on the airflow. There's a big mesh triangle at the end, at each end, to allow the air to flow through. But obviously if the weather is against you, there is a flap to pull down, there you go, which is tucked away there, which then covers the vent up completely to stop any, obviously, liquid, any water, rain coming in. The inside of the shelter is pretty much the same as the old Acto, a good size solo nest area there, and a good vestibule area. And obviously you can use it without the solo nest, and there you go, you can see it actually covered up at the end there. And obviously that's a good tarp tent should you just want to use the shelter and the base. Now, also on podcast number 375, I had a chat with Helen Howard of Paramo regarding this new item, the Enduro for men and the Ventura for women. It's a combination of a lightweight fleece and wind shirt, two separate items that can be worn independently of each other. But when they're actually combined, they give you the full waterproof features using the push-pull system. So ideal for alpine walkers or people that give off a lot of heat that want to walk during the summer months perhaps, and have a couple of items. So nice to see that from Paramo. Of course, around every corner there's yet more stands, more technical stuff, more travelling gear. This was quite interesting. Somebody demonstrating practical ways to get rid of ticks if you ever get bitten by ticks in Scotland. Different sort of routines you can go through to shake the ticks off. I thought it was quite interesting. Over on Avenue, well, Avenue didn't have anything new to show, but they did have the full complement of equipment they do there. The gorgeous cold-pressed titanium pans and pots, and of course their Appellation set, which is very popular. Now Avenue, their supply chain into the UK is changing once again, so if you want Avenue stuff, then don't hang about, because it might be long gaps between resupply. So that's the information we picked up there. This is now Ron Moak from Six Moons, and he's holding the new pack designed in conjunction with Brian Frankel, the Fusion 60. It has an interesting features, and he's just showing you around the pack here. Now that bit of plastic that Ron's holding in his hand is actually a wedge, if you like, to go down the back system to allow you to adjust it easier. I think he's just going to slot it in and show us. You'll see also that it has a very, very wide and stiff hip belt, which Ron explains really does carry the weight exceedingly well. It's quite wide though. The current colour options in the pack is what you see, the yellow, black and white, which may not appeal to everybody, not practical for certain uses. But again, lovely fresh design, good to see it in the flesh, great external pockets, and of course a rolled top enclosure. Over on the Nigor stand in Tent Village, where all the tent displays were, there's this interesting solo tent. I think it's about the kilo mark. I don't have any more information on that, I'm afraid. But what really was attracting attention was the WickiUp series, which is the 3, 4 and 6 you see on the left-hand side of the picture there. Now the WickiUp 6 at the back is massive, as this young lady demonstrates as she walks straight into it without ducking. You've got vents at the top, a good sized vestibule at the front, and in this particular case 2 sleeping areas. The current WickiUp 6 is available in the UK. I'm not too sure if the internal side is the same configuration as this, but the one I've seen is slightly different, but it has the same percentage layout and so on. But that's about the £1,000 mark, and that's available in the UK now. Over on Montane stand, that's Amy. She was showing us the new Grand Tour 70, which is coming out, based on the obviously very successful Grand Tour 55. It's going to be available in 2 back lengths, along with the 55 in 2 back lengths, 16 to 18 inches and 18 to 21 inches, and that'll be available springtime. Of course, there's also 2 new female-specific packs from them as well, the Yarara 32, which is based on the Medusa 32 and the Habu 22, both with shorter back lengths for ladies, and the Habu's based on the Cobra 25. There's always lots of interesting accessories and gizmos, one of which was this flip-out mug from Light My Fire. You can see it comes in a range of sizes. Another one of those impulse purchase items I'm sure you'll see hanging by a till next year. Not too sure what you'd use it for, but it's just rather sweet and a nice way to pack away a series of mugs for the wine when you sit around the fire, I guess. Talking of gizmos, there's lots and lots of items at the show, and we're sort of coming to an end now. The pop-up grill was the last one I wanted to show you, which is quite interesting. So you see it compacts down to that side, size. You pull up the side, it concertinas out, you clip on the legs, and you've got a freestanding self-enclosed cooking system which catches the ash. So obviously really good for leave no trace. Certainly not burning the ground. Built-in grill there with the handle and a lid that sits over the top. Now the whole thing all packs down and gives you a chance to leave your barbecue fuel inside it as well, which is really cool. So I can see that being popular with bushcrafters and certainly families and glampers generally who like outdoor cooking. The other thing that it is quite nifty about it is that you can actually turn it upside down, change the configuration of the legs and hang it from a tripod. So again, ideal for bushcrafters and people wanting the true outdoor cooking experience. So here's another little gizmo which is self-explanatory. Lots of interesting things. That's Friedrichshafen 2014.
Und vielen Dank für den Besuch bei der Outdoor Show in Friedrichshafen.
Well, there you go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, something different from the trade shows. Obviously in the past we've normally done audio podcasts only, so do let me know if you like this particular format. A bit of video to give you a taster and then the audio podcast to give you all the detail. Obviously quite a lot of work involved in putting them together. It's been a couple of weeks editing this and putting it all together and trying to do everything else at the same time as well. So your feedback would be appreciated on the email address info@theoutdoorstation.co.uk. Well, I think that's about it. We've got a few more trade shows to go to this year. I'm also off to a few other events as well and trying to keep the audio podcast going just as much as the video. So until next time, folks, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us some feedback if you can, and we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.